Whenever you think of J.J. Watt, you may think of a football player that won the Defensive Player of the Year award 3 times in 4 years during the 2010s. You may think of a terrific and great human being off the field that raised all in all through his social media platform over $37 million in Hurricane Harvey relief efforts, or you may think of a player that over the past few years production has dipped and not surprisingly is now being referred to sometimes as over the hill and overrated because of the media attention he still attracts from his very good peak Hall of Fame playing days earlier in his career. Now, in today's video, we are going to break down JJ's game, and this has been a series where we have broken down several players now, and what we are going to show in today's video is JJ's production may not be there on the stat sheet, but he is still a very, very good football player that opposing offensive lines still show the utmost respect to. Now, in Houston in 2020, JJ did not have a significant other pass rusher, so not surprisingly, offensive lines most of the time teed off, and they could really game plan any way they wanted around JJ because they could send an extra chip, they could send an extra lineman, and it really would not have been that big of a deal to their team because the Texans defensive line was not good, and on top of it, the Houston Texans team were awful in 2020. Now, JJ's production I do think will step up a lot in 2021, largely due to having Chandler Jones on the opposite side of him, and if opposing offensive lines tee off on JJ and really send 2 or 3 guys his way like they did in 2020, well, Chandler simply will eat the way he has the past few years. Now, before we dive into JJ's game and show that he is still a very, very respected player, please like the video and subscribe to the channel as these should only take a second to do and it would be very much appreciated. Now, let's begin. So the first play we have here is a 3rd and long with tight end Anthony Firkser starting out blocking J.J. Watt, and this block by Firkser here is a lot more than just a chip. A chip is usually just a hit to the right shoulder, hit to the left shoulder, depending on which side the tight end lines up on. It's usually just a hit him as you go by, let him know you're there, keep going type thing. Firkser actually engages in this block for an extra 1.5 seconds or so. Now, Firkser, obviously having said that, was not one of the first 2 receiving options for Ryan Tannehill on this play. He eventually goes out to the flats, and this is an absolute last resort for Ryan Tannehill. This was the first game where Firkser really broke out and had a 113-yard game, so good for him, but he was the absolute last receiving option on this play, and when he disengages with J.J. Watt, there are 3 offensive linemen waiting for him. This was a 4-man rush, including JJ, and JJ did get caught up with the tight end at the start of the play, as you saw with Firkser here. But after that, there are 3 linemen just waiting for JJ, meaning there are one-on-ones everywhere else across the board, as these guys are just waiting for Anthony Firkser to get off of this block, go out in his route, and then just all pile on JJ to make sure that they do not get beat by him, specifically by Ryan Tannehill on this play. If the Titans give up a sack on this play, they are ensuring, as you see here, that it will not be given up to J.J. Watt. This next play we have is from the same game where it is a running play. The Titans called a run to the right side, which of course was JJ's side on this specific play. And what we're going to have here is JJ pretty much just toss aside veteran offensive tackle Dennis Kelly. And Dennis has been on the Titans since the 2016 season. He is now a free agent, but Dennis had been playing for the Titans for 5 years at this point. So he's obviously seen JJ during his time there. Now, he wasn't a starter for all 5 seasons as Jack Conklin was, who is now a starter on the Browns, but Dennis was starting against JJ and had seen him before, there's no doubt about it. So what's JJ do in this play? Tosses him aside like a rag doll and gets Derrick Henry, yes, the same Derrick Henry that stiff arms seemingly everybody and tackles him like it's nothing. So JJ, just because the numbers are not there in the sack category, does not mean he's making an impact on every play. As you see right here, pretty much take Derrick Henry down like it's nothing. So this next play we have was from the Steelers game, and this right here, this type of play, it was a 2nd and 7 late in the first quarter. Ben is going to throw a deep incomplete pass on the right side of the field to Deontay Johnson, but this play is the epitome and a perfect example of why the numbers may not be there for JJ, especially in the sack sheet. He is going up against David DeCastro and Marquise Pouncey here, a 2-on-1 block, where essentially JJ needs a teammate to make up play. He needs a teammate on the defensive line, one that is pass rushing, to beat their guy one-on-one. JJ is going up against 620 pounds of beef, while everyone else is one-on-one. David DeCastro weighing 315 pounds, Marquise Pouncey weighing 305 pounds, 2-on-1 against JJ, and not surprisingly, JJ does not win this play specifically. Now, for anyone in the comments saying, oh, that's nothing, Aaron Donald would have beat him, or whoever would have beat them, well, they may beat them occasionally, but I am telling you right now that Aaron Donald is not beating a double team every single play. Otherwise, he would be having 30 to 35 sacks a year, if not more. Players do not beat double teams every single time they are double teamed. They are double teamed because they are very good pass rushers, like Aaron Donald and JJ Watt both are, but what I am here to inform you is that neither one of them are every single snap beating a double team 2-on-1. It just does not happen in the NFL, and this is a perfect example of that. JJ right here is, in a sense, very selfless because he is allowing his teammates to be one-on-one against them, and he is just like, look, I need someone to step up and help, and not surprisingly with the 2020 Houston Texans and how bad they were, no one did, but fortunately for the Texans, it was an incomplete pass. So the next play we are going to break down was the exact next play. So from 2nd and 7 to 3rd and 7 we go. And what you may not have known about the Texans and JJ Watt is JJ will line up everywhere. So as we saw on the 2nd and 7 play, he was interior, he was playing defensive tackle. Well, on this play, he is out at left end. Now, as you'll see, next to JJ is Eric Ebron, and earlier in the video, we discussed Anthony Firkser. He blocked JJ longer than what was just a little chip. However, on this play, we will see Eric Ebron give JJ a little chip, and this block by Ebron right here is a true chip. He gives him a push in the shoulder, and for the Texans here, it is a 3-man pass rush in 3rd and 7, so JJ will get pushed around the line, and not just that, it was multiple guys getting double teamed on this play, but as you will see, 5 linemen touch JJ, including Eric Ebron as a lineman here. 5 Steelers players touch JJ to ensure he will not get to Ben. So JJ, is he the exact same player he was in 2012, 14, and 15, where he pretty much took the league by storm? And will we see Kyler Murray throw JJ touchdown passes down on the goal line this year? No, probably not, and physically, he is definitely not that player either. We've seen him be more susceptible to injuries as he's gotten older, and we've seen him just not be the same player physically. Now, to be fair to JJ, he was so far elite and above everybody else at that point in time that it was very difficult for him to not only keep that play for the time that he did, but to keep it that long after. And for JJ and Aaron Donald to rack up 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards each in the past 10 years is obviously nothing short of impressive, but JJ is still an above average player, and it's unfortunate for him that in 2020 specifically, there was nobody else on the defensive line that was good to alleviate some of that pressure, so offensive lines, as we've seen in today's video, can pretty much just tee off on JJ and be like, yep, someone else try and beat us, because unfortunately we know you can't. Unfortunately for the Texans, of course. Fortunately for us, we know you can't, and that was a big reason why the Texans, though not the only reason to be clear, were so bad in 2020, was because there was nobody else aside from JJ that could truly get after the quarterback. And having said that, not surprisingly, JJ did not have double-digit sacks for the 2nd season in a row. Before we finish today's video, this highlight right here is going to end up being a 3-yard touchdown to Davante Adams of the Packers, and that's really not surprising given the 2020 season Davante had. But what I want to reiterate and why I think JJ will be, quote-unquote, back in 2021 is there were so many double teams and there were so many reasons why JJ on the stat sheet did not succeed in 2020, and a lot of it came down to his teammates. JJ is, in a sense, at least on that defense, the Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs. He has to do everything. He has to get after the quarterback, defend the run, and really do it all without a lot to help. And obviously Patrick has help in players like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, where JJ really did not, especially on the defensive line. Now, is Ross Blacklock, the defensive tackle that was the 2nd round pick DeAndre Hopkins traded for, is he a bad player? No, not really, but in a sense, as a rookie, he's not going to be Aaron Donald or another dominant defensive tackle. So JJ, in a sense, last year was really on an island, and that is what offensive lines keyed in on last year, and that's how they prevented him from being a true 12-sack player, which at this point in his career, I definitely think he can be a 10 to 11 sack player and move on with his life after his NFL career. Now, JJ obviously won't be another 20-sack player, as those seasons are few and far between. There's not many in NFL history to begin with, and to expect JJ to, at 33 years old, to all of a sudden just get back to that type of player that he was nearly a full decade ago, well, that simply isn't realistic even with Chandler Jones on the opposite side of the ball. Now, I do think him and Chandler will certainly wreak havoc, and I certainly do think there will be games where each of them have 1.5 to 2 sacks each. Obviously, that's not going to be an every week thing, but I do think with Chandler being on the other side, a true legitimate pass rusher, to alleviate some of that said pressure from the double and triple teams JJ consistently faced in 2020 will obviously help him in the numbers, and his sack numbers and quarterback hits, pressures, and really every pass rush category will be back for JJ in 2021. Pro Bowl is a lofty expectation, but I certainly think JJ will be an above average pass rusher, and I certainly think he will shock some people in terms of his production that he will have for the Arizona Cardinals this upcoming season. Now, with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world, and have a great day. And until next time, love you guys. Deuces. Peace.